My name is Marisa Novara. I'm a vice president here at the Metropolitan Planning Council. We are a planning and policy change organization. We've been around for over 80 years. We work with communities, governments, and business to create a strong and equitable Chicago region. And we are so thrilled tonight to welcome Daryl Holliday and Jamal Cole to hear more about Jamal's work in breaking down geographic barriers with young people across our city. And I want to tell you a little bit about each of them. Thank you. Is that better? Okay. Daryl Holliday is a Studs Terkel Award-winning journalist, storyteller, and reformed crime reporter. He is formerly with DNA Info Chicago and the Chicago Sun-Times. He's now the editorial director and co-founder of City Bureau, a civic media lab based on Chicago's South Side. Thanks so much for being here, Daryl. Jamal Cole founded My Block, My Hood, My City in 2013 after several years of work with teens in Cook County Jail who told him repeatedly that they had never been downtown. And lest you think that him writing a book, the book that he has here tonight, Exposure is Key, is a big deal. This is actually his fourth book, so, you know, no big deal. He's an author, a nonprofit leader, a public speaker, and a tireless volunteer. Any of you who follow him on Twitter know that he got half of the city to come down to 79th and State and shovel snow in our last snowstorm. And you know, we've had many of these events, after-work events, where we feature a noted author and speaker. This is the first time where we've had a noted author and speaker who's also a friend. So this is really a special occasion for me. A couple years ago, I learned about Jamal's work, and I was so impressed with his mission that I cold emailed him, and he was kind enough to agree to meet me for coffee. Or actually, I think what happened was I had like a triple espresso and he had something healthy, like a banana or something. We've been talking ever since, and I've been learning from Jamal ever since. And one thing I'll tell you about him if you don't know him is that he has an incredible gift for encouragement. And he has been encouraging me over the past several years, as I know he does the young people every day that he works with. And some of you may know that here at MPC, we've been working on a project over the past several years to study and better understand the costs of our racial and economic segregation. And I'm grateful that Jamal has been an advisor to that work, which is called The Cost of Segregation. And you know, while putting an economic cost to us living so separately from each other by race and income has been, I think, an important part about building some urgency around dismantling that segregation. What I love about Jamal's work is that he shows us another side of the wages of segregation. And that is that with segregation, we lose our connectedness. We lose the chance to build really meaningful relationships across lines of difference. And we don't exercise the muscles of being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And we may not be able to put a dollar figure on those things, but they're huge, right? My life is diminished when I'm disconnected from the richness of people and neighborhoods around the city and the region. So on that note, I want to finish with one last thought. We began our cost of segregation work with the idea that we had been using the word segregation incorrectly for a long time. And what I mean by that is that we tend to use this word as if it's synonymous with places where low-income people of color live only. And we ignore the fact that places that are majority white and majority affluent are also places of segregation. And given that, one of the things Jamal and I have talked a lot about is the importance of kind of a two-way flow of exploration, right? How do we get people living in spaces that are all white and all wealthy to also see and recognize the need for this exploration just as much as the other way around? So my question for all of us tonight is, what's the role we can play to help advance and grow the work of My Block, My Hood, My City? Can we get out and shovel when he puts out the call? Can we leverage any networks that we may have so that they can work with more schools and more young people and also get that two-way flow of exploration going? So as we proceed with the program, let's all be considering that question of what more we can do. And let's get to it. It's our honor to hear from 4 students from Collins High School in the great neighborhood of North Lawndale. And following that, we'll welcome Daryl and Jamal for a conversation and then time for some Q&A. First, we're going to start with a short video that will just give you kind of an overview of the great work of My Block, My Hood, My City. Thank you.
Today is my first day of high school. I feel proud of myself because we's going to be the first people to go to college from my family.
Where do you guys want to go?
Notre Dame.
See, I already got recruited to Bowling Green. Only thing I had to just do is graduate, basically. And these colleges right here that want me to come to their school.
If the educational system is defunct, where are those kids going? They're going to jail, they're going to a grave, or they're going to be, trapped in a cycle of poverty that is almost impossible to move out of.
The bulletproof glass windows, what do you think this bulletproof glass windows has to do? I mean, how do you think it makes kids feel every morning they see the bulletproof glass?
You live in North Lawndale. Every day you get up, you look up, you see the tallest building in the country, and you've never been downtown. I mean, their whole worldview was shaped by their block. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna start a program where I take teenagers from the hood to the top of the Sears Tower. And I'm gonna call it My Block, My Hood, My City, because that's all they talk about is my block and my hood. I'm gonna try to get them to take ownership of the city.
After they graduate their senior year, I was planning on moving out of Chicago.
Why do you want to leave Chicago?
It's too much danger. Just last night, they shot a little 13-year-old boy right down the street.
Somebody losing their life, that's part of us, that's a human being. Chicago is less because we have buried so many of our children. We're less of a city because of what we put in the ground.
I'm ready for school. Oh, this is our first day, y'all.
The person I'm going to meet, he usually a late bird. He like to wake up late, so I got to wake him up. So I wake up our whole football team, because we had a group chat. And I do a group call, and they call everybody on the football team.
It's quiet in South Bend, Indiana. Don't no police come around, and she was telling me that don't nothing go on down there.
Neighborhood schools have been woefully under-resourced and neglected. And as a result, the narrative has been, get out, don't stay in your neighborhood.
Please remember, let's get in class on time. Please don't be in my hallway. Take it in.
I just love their tenacity and grit, and because a lot of situations and environments that they come from, we wouldn't necessarily think that such lovely, bright, smart children would come from, because they do have to overcome a lot of adversity.
We're trying to unleash the radical imagination into the community, into the block, and into the city, where young people might imagine not only a reality that's different for themselves, but that's different for their family and different for their community, and ultimately, hopefully, different for the city itself.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Deontay Lewis. I am a senior at D College Academy High School. I am currently ranked #1 in my senior classroom, 4.8 GPA.
Hey, Deontay, that's me. How everybody doing? I'm Ramon Forte, part of My Block, My Hood, My City. Jamal Cole is a good friend of mine. Like we like to say, my brother from another mother. That's Jamal Cole. It's my pleasure to introduce some of the My Block, My Hood, My City explorers from Collins Academy High School in North Lawndale. You have Deontay Lewis. You got the Chamber twins, Demetriana and Dominitris, and we got Marquel. All of them are top 5 in their class at Collins Academy, and I'm gonna hand the mic over to Deontay.
Thank you. So again, my name is Deontay, and I want to start out by talking about what I learned. So what I learned about being in this program is exposure is the key, as the book say. And the reason why I say that, because like some places I've never been before, and Jamal took us down there, like downtown, like just seeing like basic places. Like we went to like the glass factory, we learned like why we recycle. And like what this program has taught me is like being a leader to your, like the people around you is like a success. The reason why I say that because like my football team, like they don't wake up on time. And Jamal taught me like if they my brothers, like push them, wake them up. So every day I do a group chat call, wake everybody up, make sure they on task, make sure they come to school. And the reason why I want to thank Jamal because he always push us, he always texts us, make sure we up, ask us how school been. He pop up on us sometimes. So like we could be working, like he'll come in our like classroom, speak to us, record us, like then all the kids like come by us like, can I get in this program? I'm like, yeah, I get in the program. And like these my cousins right here, I call him my little brother. So just being in this program, I learned a lot. I changed a lot of people's lives because like now people want to be the leader that I am. So when I graduate in 3 months, I'm gonna pass it down to like the juniors that's coming up to be the seniors. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dominitrice Chambers. I am a senior at D. Collins Academy High School. I've been in this program for almost 2 years. And this program had impacted my life because I explored to new things. I opened up to a whole lot of opportunities. I learned how to communicate more with people outside my race. Jamal's inspired me to become a better person, to show leadership to others and take pride on my actions. As I go off to college, I want to have something to look back on. And when I finish college in my career, I want to give back to my community just like Jamal. Jamal is such a good man. He would do anything to make his country or community better. He takes young youth to aspirations so they can learn new things or try new things. So thank you, Jamal Cole. I really honor you for the opportunities like this to accomplish. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Demetriana Chambers. I am a senior at D. Collins Academy High School. I'm ranked number 3 in my school. She number 4. I am attending Benedict College. It's in South Carolina. I got a full ride scholarship for 4 years. My twin too. I just want to thank Jamal for impacting my life so much. He took me on all these explorations, and it actually made me look at the community different. Like I wouldn't even think to like go on different trips and look at the other community different. I'd rather like stay outside. I'm the type of person that's be quiet and stay to myself. But now he helped me like communicate better. He helped me be a leader to my sisters and be a role model. So I just want to thank Jamal for being in my life, and I love him.
Hello. My name is Marquell Washington. I'm a sophomore at Collins Academy. I ranked number 3 in my class with a 3.6 GPA. Yeah, this program has been a big impact on my life though, because a lot of people thought that I was going to end up like my father and other people that's in my family. But this program taught me how to go out and be a better and bigger person than the people that that surrounded me. It taught me a lot of things because I didn't want to do nothing at first. I didn't want to eat new food. I didn't want to scuba dive, none of that. But Jamal, like he's like a mentor to me. And basically, I look up to him, and he told me like, I saw him do it, so I was like, okay, let me try it. And it was okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say it's good. But yeah, it's like him, Ramon, and the rest of the people that surround us, like the adults, they've been a big inspiration to me to be bigger and better. Because my freshman year, I was a great student, but my grades I started dropping. And then when he came in and he told me I need to do this and do that, my grades went back up. I was the number 1 freshman last year, and then this year is just, but I'll be back. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, and thank you, Ramon, for everything y'all been doing for us. And yeah, that's really what I want to say.
Hello. That was wonderful, y'all. I could listen to that probably the rest of this night. It was great stories. Where to begin?
Yeah, I think we should begin by saying, well, first of all, y'all did a great job. Thank you. You already know I love y'all. I'd do anything for y'all. I want to give a shout out to my whole team because, like, without them, it wouldn't really even be possible. I mean, we make it. They say, you know, Jamal. I'm always on TV. I'm always doing stuff, but I got a great team. Cody Tranel back there, Jen Dixon back there. Our board chair was here, Janice Feinberg, Ramon Forte. You know, I couldn't do nothing without them. It looks like, yeah, I'm a community activist. I'm a community organizer, but you best believe, like, Cody was pretty much the reason why I even went out and shoveled. She was like, Jamal, I know you're gonna be shoveling this. You're gonna get up and shovel. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do it. She's like, go do it. You know, Jen Dixon is always on top of stuff. So I got a great team behind me, and we make it look the way it is, but it's a whole team working. So thank y'all. I love y'all. I couldn't do it without y'all. So thank you.
Let's celebrate your community, man. That's the way to start.
You already know.
So we're going to get into a Q&A in about 20 minutes, but we have 20 minutes or so to just chat for a bit.
Oh, let's do it.
You and I met in 2015. I had been hearing this name, Jamal Cole. I was working at DNA Info at the time, covering crime and mayhem, and then I covered Humboldt Park and Logan Square for DNA. Hearing your name, I had been working on reporting for a book. I think that's why I first reached out to you. Yeah. It was about Kedzie Avenue, and we were talking about Mount Greenwood and going to the roller rink.
Yep.
We did not work on anything then, but I mean, here we are, having a conversation in front of nearly 100 people. Since then, you've developed into this inspiring entrepreneurial force in Chicago. And for those that don't know me, in that same time, I left DNA Info to start a group called City Bureau. We are based in Woodlawn. We do 3 programs, a reporting fellowship, a weekly public newsroom that you're all invited to on Thursdays, and a documenters program that pays and trains people to document public meetings. Our organizations are very different, but I think share a lot of similarities in terms of a focus on access, a focus on youth exposure, a focus on making a business model that can do the kind of work that we know needs to be done. So I want to start off with one question from the cover of your book. I want to get it right. The tagline is solving Chicago's violence by exposing teens to opportunities. And it's a big statement. It's the kind of statement that I think is like, it's urgent, it's audacious, and it's what is good about Chicago. But break it down for me. What is the who, what, why? How are you gonna do it?
I don't know what I'm talking about most times, man. I'm just like, when it comes to like, somebody's gotta try something. We gotta try something to solve violence in Chicago. Let's just try something. And when I look at it, I say, if you show somebody better, they're gonna do better, and they'll be less inclined towards, violence. If you show them, if you take them outside of their comfort zone and you expose them to different cultures, different professions, different cuisines. I look at where I grew up. My older brothers, both in jail, 80 years, 40 years, and the only thing that separated me from them was I actually got to take the Greyhound bus to Texas. And I remember just seeing the sun the next morning. I just knew I was a little bit more adventurous than my brothers and my cousins. And when I told my mom I wanted to go to college, she was like, oh, you trying to be white. When I told my friends I wanted to go to college, I ain't leaving the block, I got my jaw broke. But the only reason I knew I could survive outside of Chicago was because I had taken a Greyhound bus as a kid. So when I started volunteering at Cook County Jail at the automatic transfer unit, they sneaked me in there. They were like, come talk to the 18-year-olds. And when I got there, they were like, no, we didn't say 18, we said AT. It's an acronym for automatic transfer. And it was like a room like half the size of this. Like imagine all of y'all going downstate for like murder. Basically, everybody here is going downstate for some heinous crimes. They were like, well, you talk to these kids. And when something happened, when they put me in the room with them, they let them out the shackles, and they look like kids that I'd be on the Red Line with. They look like kids that I'd be in North Lawndale. They had great personalities. They weren't scary. They weren't sociopaths. They had just never traveled outside of their neighborhood. So to me, it was like, hey, if I can show them the world is bigger than their block or their neighborhood, maybe they'll be less inclined to do violent things. It was that simple.
You kind of allude to this in your answer, but I want to talk more about those Greyhound trips to Texas. Everyone, pick up this book before you leave. It is my favorite part of the book. But I want to talk about how that experience shaped what you do now? How did travel lead into this broader idea of exposure?
Yeah, so every time my mother and my father would break up, my father would leave the house and move to Fort Worth, Texas. That's where he's from. And so, you know, my mom, once she got tired of looking at me, she'd be like, "Oh, stay with your dad," you know? And I'll go stay with my dad. She'd put me on the Greyhound bus at 11, and I'd look out the window and I'd see like the concrete of Chicago turn into the cornfields of Greater Illinois. I'd get out at Memphis, Tennessee, Little Rock, Arkansas. I'd hear the sights, the sounds, foods, the different scenery. I was like an amateur anthropologist at 11 years old. And so, you know, to me, it was the best. It got me outside of my comfort zone. You know what I mean? So that's when I was looking for sponsors for my program. I told Greyhound Bus the same thing. I said, "Hey, I was born on the Greyhound Bus," and they were like, "Yo, we'll be one of your sponsors." So literally, it was just telling the truth about my life. So yeah.
You lead into all my questions.
That's all good.
Like synced up here.
Cool.
So I think you've become a pro at getting sponsors, getting people on board. When you walk into a meeting, what's your elevator pitch? What do you say?
Yeah, I usually ask Cody what I shouldn't say. Like, I mean, I'll say, what shouldn't I say here? No, well, that's easy. Like, if you want to get in touch with brands, you can use LinkedIn. Because if you want, let's say you want to get in touch with Nike, and the person you want to get in touch with at Nike name is Jamal Cole. Well, you know their email can only be jcole@nike.com, colej@nike.com, jamal.cole. And then what you do is you just, like you crack the code, and you always want to do more than people expect to make an investment in your future. So you don't just send an email like, "Hey," you put in the header, "I was born on the Greyhound bus," and you have links to like things. And people are people, you know what I mean? So if you, I'm all about just doing more than people expect, and that usually makes an investment in my future.
Like I said, I think we all know here, you've been an inspiring force in Chicago. Who inspires you? Who are your contemporaries? My teenagers, of course, you know, they're the first 50 pages of the books, what they wrote. Just, you know, hearing Marquell talk about his life and his walk to school. Deontay, way more talented than I ever been in my life. The Chambers twins, way more intelligent than I've ever been my entire life. I mean, they won 2 in a class. I admire them so much. I would say people like Marisa, like obviously just being a part of the cost of segregation report. As a young activist, you know, I feel like I'm spoiled because I can just come here and just ask questions and bounce ideas off of people. I'm inspired by, you know, my father. You know, he's always like reading philosophy books and helping me out. And yeah, man, I'm also inspired by just, I live in Chatham. So, you know, Chatham on 79th and King Drive, I eat at a place called Captain Hard Times, right? Captain Hard Times is the only place in the world where you can get chicken and waffles and you can get Tide Pod balls 2 for $5. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, somebody's gonna walk in and all the cooks gonna come out and buy that. Let me get the Tide over here, let me get the cheers. It's crazy. But I almost like, I love Chatham, and I just love seeing stuff happening on 79th Street. So that's my inspiration. I'm gonna get this part right too. So part of your mission is to get people to step outside of their comfort zone and see the city. I want to pick up on something Marisa mentioned earlier. Considering segregation in our city, considering disinvestment of major parts of the city, make sure I get this right. Your program has a focus on bringing teens outside of the neighborhoods, but sorry, y'all, let me make sure I get this question exactly right. How does the north side essentially benefit from coming down to Chatham? You know, like the reverse side of the segregation puzzle. What does it mean for people outside of these areas that we usually talk about as segregated to come down to Chatham to be able to meet with youth part of your program?
So Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in the U.S., unfortunately. So the distinction between the black, the white, and the Hispanic community is very visible, and that's caused these diverging or these separate community areas. That racial division is important, not only because it signifies a lack of cultural integration in Chicago, but segregation has created a socioeconomic isolation and exclusion in which minorities, specifically African Americans, have higher vulnerability to things like poverty and crime. So to truly make our city better, we need more people, young and old, to visit community areas outside their own. Because when most people hear about something negative happen in another Chicago community, especially where people are a lot different from them, it might as well happen in another country. But when you actually visit communities and you interact with the residents, it can change all that. And also, you know, read the cost of segregation report. I would tell you, look into it, and you can see that, you know, it really has a, well, people from different socioeconomic backgrounds learn from each other. If anything, that's the #1 thing. Like, obviously, I went to college in Nebraska, right? And a lot of those people from Nebraska had never stepped outside of their comfort zone. Like, my first day on campus, they came up to me and said, Jamal, you know, here's a cell phone, talk to my little brother. He's never talked to a black basketball player before. He watches And One on TV all the time, holler at him. And you know, I'm in the middle of Nebraska, I'm like, let me see the cell phone. Like, how you want me to talk? Like, yo, what's up? What's going on? Like, I don't even talk like that. So I don't know what you want me to do. But those teenagers that grow up in Wayne, Nebraska, they're isolated, right? And isolation leads to narrow-mindedness, regardless of where you live. If you grow up in Inglewood, you can have the same. You can be isolated as well. And when you go downtown, you have a different vernacular. You dress different. You just look different because that's how you are. So I just truly believe to make better people, we need to be more interconnected. And Chicago can do that too.
There's a lot of talk, especially in the media landscape, locally and nationally, about reshaping narratives. More talking about our stories and our storytellers. What do the explorers say about us as a city? What story are they telling?
I would say something like, last night I couldn't sleep, and you know, it wasn't because we didn't have heat. We haven't had heat in a long time. You know, we heat the house with the oven, so not having heat is regular stuff. You know, last night I couldn't sleep, and you know, it wasn't because I heard gunshots. Hearing gunshots on my block is regular stuff. I tell myself they firecrackers, I go back to sleep. But I still couldn't sleep last night, and you know, it wasn't because the helicopters were flying above my house. Helicopters fly over my house almost every night. Hearing helicopters is regular stuff. But I couldn't sleep because the lights from the helicopter were shining through my window, and they had the whole block lit up at 2 a.m., and I couldn't sleep. You know, I order my food every day through 3-inch bulletproof glass windows with mug shots of black faces on it. And the glass is so thick that I have to yell my order. So I say, hey, you know, I want the Doritos. No, not the spicy nacho. I want the Cool Ranch, the blue bag, the blue bag, the blue bag, you know? And then the guy, he goes and gets the Doritos and he drops them in the bulletproof glass jar and he slides them out to me like I'm an inmate in solitary confinement. But I'm in the real world, you know what I mean? There's helicopters that fly above my house, blue lights flashing, German shepherds sniff me on a train when I go to school. Like, if society was a person, I wouldn't think society likes me. I mean, I think that's the kind of stories that I hear from, and that's not fair. Like, teenagers from the south and west sides of our city are not connected to the same extent as teenagers from the north side. And if we're gonna be serious about teenagers having a fair shot, excuse me, getting riled up, but that inequality, that's the inequality that has to be corrected, and that's what we do with my block, my city.
I want to go off that just one more step also. I'm coming at this as a journalist.
Sure.
How can media in Chicago beyond better tell the stories that you're talking about?
That's a great question. I think I would just take the red line. I would just actually go to where I want to, like, go learn, go actually listen to the people. And when you do what you love, you organically build relationships. Like, I don't know nothing about, like, when I write, I plagiarize life. So I'm just sitting around looking at what's going on and writing about it. I'm asking questions. I've never been in the media, but I've just, I don't know how to teach y'all to do a better job. I would say, I really don't, man, because you know what it is, man? It's like, I've never, I've never wanted to, like, use social media or media anyway to, like, do nothing but uplift people. I've never really had, like, an agenda or something like that. I've never had someone that say, hey, don't tell this story this way. I just tell it the way I want to. I think just this is what you could do. You could be brave enough to stay creative. Just be brave enough to be creative, and I think you're gonna do well. If you, but once people start trying to shape your narrative and change it, I think it can be, I hope I add to some value. I don't really know what to say, so.
I was going going to push you on. I was going to be like, "What's your message for the Sun Times?" But
I just like my message is like I like the media. Y'all cool to me. I mean, I give y'all hoodies, so it's all good. Like, I'm just joking. No, I like the media. Y'all cool. So.
I got one more question, but I really love Q&A parts of events, so I'm going to turn over in a minute. But what does my block need? What can people in this room do beyond that to further your mission, your goals? What does the program need to really succeed and take it to the next level?
I would say we just need y'all prayers, more than anything, because I think our staff is talented. I think we got enough, ambition. I think we got some good goals. We just need y'all prayers because, we're a young team going from being organizers to being an enterprise, and that comes with a lot of growing pains, And right now, I'm not going to sit up here and say we have all the data in the world. Like, we're in listening mode. We're trying to see what works. Like, I'm not going to say our program is the reason why kids are graduating from high school. I can tell you that, 90% of the kids in our program know somebody that's been murdered, and only 40% know somebody that's been in college. I can tell you those things, but we're in listening mode to see what works. So the number one thing you can do definitely is pray for us. I think number two thing you can do for us is connect us. All of our students, we have 120 kids in our program. All of them deserve access to opportunities. If you work for a job that would like to host our teenagers, go on our website so you can host our Explorers. If you would like to sponsor an Explorer for a year, you could do that. If you would like to sign up for volunteer events, you can do that. So, and buy a hoodie too, because the city looks better when people are wearing hoodies. So.
I know there must be some questions in the audience. Do we have questions? That hand shot right up.
Yeah.
Sure.
I will wait. Thank you. My question is for Jamal, Deontay, Demetriana, Demetrius, and Marquil. What kinds of food have you guys tried and what have you liked the most? Because this city is amazing for food.
Let's see. When we went to Michigan, I never had cold shrimps. And it was very good. I liked it. Because I'm used to fried food, so I tried new things.
And also, we tried Vietnamese food. It was certain foods that was good, but then certain foods, like the noodles, it tastes like regular noodles. But then it was like some food that's real crunchy, and it's like stuff I wouldn't eat on a regular at all. But I liked it. It's like I try new things all the time. Well, not all the time, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll try it. What you try?
Hey, it's interesting that I always tell them it's crazy, but on Milwaukee Avenue, it's like I've seen so many ramen noodle shops. Like literally, it's almost chic to eat ramen noodles nowadays. But these kids, Marquel got the best ramen noodle recipe, and y'all before y'all leave, go ask him how to make ramen noodles. I'm telling you, he'll put you on the butter, the sugar, the salts, whatever you need. This dude literally can make the best ramen noodles in the city. So
I saw some more.
Thank you. I actually have a two-part question. So I had the honor of actually meeting Jamal in December at an Iman event. So very grateful for your work. And so my first question is, some people talk about our city as a tale of two cities, and some people talk about it as a tale of two choices. And I'd like to know what your thoughts are on that. And my second question is, what are your goals for your youth as they progress further, like both academically and professionally? Because of course there's ample opportunities in Chicago, but I'd like to know what your like aspirational goals are as your network continues to grow.
yeah, I would say life is all about choices. I will say that. Life is a constant battle between inclination and obligation. Like we're always battling between what we're inclined to do and what we're obligated to do. So that's just this internal conflict we always go through. I would say. What I would want people to know is just in Chicago that just oppression is real, you know what I mean? Like, it's a structural part of our country and its history. It was created intentionally, and nowadays it seems to be just cloaked up and trumped up laws and false media, and I think people have a hard time recognizing just how injustice is really being sustained. So I would just tell people to continue to read, continue to just stay woke, and the second part of your question, as far as my teenagers, easy, be better than me. Be way better than me. Like, you know, let's like read a book, do something with your life. Like, you know, I always tell them, like, you can save 5 years by reading a book. I also tell my teenagers that it's like really all about your perspective, you know? Some people, like, it's like a salesman. He'll look outside and see it's raining real bad. He'll be like, man, you know, it's raining real bad outside. With weather like this, boss can't expect us to go outside and make sales, right? So he stays home. But another salesman, he looks outside, he sees the same storm. He says, man, you know, it's raining real bad outside. With weather like this, what a great day to go outside and make sales, because everybody's gonna be home, especially the salesperson, right? But look, it's the same thing in Chicago with my students. Because some students, they look outside and they say, man, Chicago is messed up. Yeah, the city is messed up, the weather is messed up, the politicians are messed up, and they say they don't get involved. But some students, they're gonna look outside and say, man, the city is messed up, the weather is messed up, but they're gonna get involved and go to college. So I always tell my students it's about your perspective, and that's how everything's gonna work out for you. Sorry, you
All right, so I have 3 things to say. I had the 1 up to 2, right? The first, maybe I should stand up. So you're not like, where's that voice coming from? So the first thing I wanted to say was, first off, thank you for the work you do. It's important. It's tiring, I know, but we need you to keep on doing it, so keep on doing it. The second thing I wanted to say was a commendation for something you shared over the MLK Day weekend, which was to encourage people to go out to explore other neighborhoods. My daughter did it, not MLK Day, but before she headed off to college. Yeah. She took each of the L lines from one end to the other. I had never taken the brown line to the end, and I had never taken the green line to the end, and it really changed me to do that as her dad with her, heading off to college. Third thing is more of an open-ended question. I'm interested to know what's your opinion on this. Some people looking into the future could make an argument that the sort of changes you're suggesting are expensive or they're cost prohibitive with respect to getting so many students access. A possible way to go to reduce that cost would be more virtual trips or virtual reality or digital presences or things of that nature to discover what's out in the world. I'm interested to know what your response would be to that.
I would say we need both. I mean, thank you. I'm glad to see that you and your daughter, you know, did the MLK Day challenge. That's what's up. But imagine the things that you learned on the MLK Day challenge. Imagine, like, when you were on the Blue Line or wherever you said you were traveling. Imagine if you just read about that or heard about it on TV. It's not the same. It's not the same when you get on a red line and you hear somebody saying, you know, what they're saying, choose fruities, you know, if you were selling this, loose squares, you know, just the smell of it is different when you step off on 79th. You gotta like, it changes you. You become, you know what it is actually when you visit it, you become more empathetic towards the suffering of other people. And to really have that empathy, you gotta get inside and feel it. And that's kind of why we actually work with Google, and they give us the virtual reality goggles. They give us 30 pair. So we actually do that, where our students will get to like do virtual tours of a hospital, and then the next week they'll actually go to a hospital. So I think it can work, but it definitely has to be both, because it breaks down barriers when you get to meet people and you're like, you know what? We're really, like, Chicago's really not that different. Like, this weekend there's gonna be the Irish parade. They're dyeing the city green. I don't know any, like, listen, if you go to Greektown, you're gonna eat, right, a pita, you know, you're gonna eat beef and rice, right? If you go to Pilsen, you're gonna eat a tortilla, you're gonna eat beef and rice. If you go to Divine Avenue, you're gonna have naan, beef and rice. I mean, we're the same type of people. Like, we're really not that different, but when you step outside your comfort zone, you're gonna get to Divine Avenue and be like, this is good. So I would just tell you to actually definitely explore.
He pointed over here.
Oh, we're on this side now. Oh, we are? Sorry about that. She had her hand up earlier.
Well, come over here. Come over here.
Yeah. I'll bet.
So
Hello. Okay. So I'm actually a teacher at the school with these students, and sometimes I experience that organizations or people will come in with this savior complex. So they want to come into the neighborhood and they want to save something or someone, and there's no one or nothing to be saved. So my question is what is the biggest barrier to this connection that you're trying to make with, students and people outside of their communities?
That's a great question. I'll try to be quick. Yeah, you can have an idea, then you can start connecting with people like UChicago or Northwestern, and you got a research strategy now. And you're like, man, I'm gonna go into the school and I'm gonna save the whole school, And then you get into school and you realize that for the first 30 minutes of the class, they're dealing with social emotional issues and they can't even get to the curriculum. So we had a theory of working with kids with lower than 80% attendance, and then our program would boost their attendance. But what we found helpful really is just to be humble and going into the school and saying, hey, you have capacity for 2,500 kids and there's only 130 kids that attend the whole school. And of those 130, only 58% attend school every day. Like, who do you want us to work with? Like, who's the most disconnected youth that you want us to work with? How can I be of assistance? I found that kind of takes their guard down a little bit and they want to work with you and they're more receptive. So again, we're in listening phase and we would be nothing without our liaisons like you. Olivia, thank you. Like, you make a school partnership so much better. So thank you.
Hello. So I attended your event at the DeSable Museum I think it was last year or the year before, and I did sign up as a volunteer for your organization. I live on the north side. I live off the Brown Line, and I do what I can to try to make people welcome in my neighborhood, and I'd like to know what I could do on a one-to-one basis or on a person to student basis to make people feel more welcome while they're in my neighborhood, in my area, in other parts of the city that they wouldn't otherwise be.
Yeah, I would just say, I always ask myself, what's something simple I could do that'll have a positive impact on my block? And it could be, you could say, hey, Jamal, I'm gonna say hi to my neighbor today. Go say hi to your neighbor. You could say, Jamal, I'm gonna create a Facebook page for my neighborhood association. You could do that. You could say, I'm gonna shovel my neighbor's snow. You can do that. Like, what's something simple you can do that'll have a positive impact? And just because it's simple don't mean it's easy, right? But this stuff should be easy. And what I've realized though is that when something is that easy to do, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that easy not to do it. So it's just that easy not to pick up the trash in your block. It's just that easy not to say hello to your neighbor. It's just that easy not to call the cops if you hear something going on. You say, I don't trust the cops. That's how you turn your block into madness, right? So always ask yourself, challenge yourself, say, what's something simple I can do that'll have a positive impact? And then just tweet that mug out.
Good evening. I'm not a native of Chicago. On a national level, Chicago has a very bad reputation, unfortunately. What are things that you think you could do or the city could do that would change the narrative on the national level where people from the outside come in, they want to move to the South Side, they want to invest in the South Side, they want to be a part of that community?
I would say Chicago is one of the greatest cities in the world. Like, we really do have some of the best. Thank you. I would say we have some of the best architecture, food, and music in the world. We have our fair share of struggles via crime, poverty, or failing schools. But what I've discovered while talking to people is people just don't feel connected to our city, right? They don't feel connected to our gyms and they don't feel connected to our struggles. So what I would suggest is once you come to Chicago, I would say, look up from your cell phone when you're running around and see what you can learn from the different sights and the sounds around you. I would say step outside your comfort zone and grab a bite to eat in neighborhoods you've never been to before. Just develop an appetite for adventure. And as far as, when it comes to, are you gonna ask me anything about violence? Because I don't wanna just go in. I jog down 79th Street every day. I jog and say hi to they say that's the worst street in Chicago. I jog down it every day. Like, it's media sensationalized things a lot of time, and it gets like who's profiting from this divide? Have you ever asked yourself, like, is it Yahoo? Like, who's profiting by creating this divide between people? And maybe it's time we change our perceptions, and that's what I was saying.
we have time for any more? I'm sure there are.
I wondered if you went to another organization that was already doing something in this space before you went out on your own. And I ask this in part because of my own experiences, and the other is that if you do you connect with other organizations that are, I mean, is there a net, because I always feel like, why not like cross-pollinate, like everybody get together and like share, you know, all of the resources, so.
I like the way, you know, you and our COO Cody are like connected. I'm telling you, like honestly, you guys got to talk, and it should be that way. Why can't, if they closing down all them schools, why can't all the nonprofits in the 6th Ward use one of them schools, and we can have the same copy machine, the same, you know, I think about that sometimes. I think it could work. I think, yeah, so, man, I'm trying to, you got to go to a lot of block club meetings to see. Like, people are really parochial, especially in Chicago, and we all want to be first sometimes. Like, well, I want to be first. You know, I want to do this. This is my life's mission. So, as we get older though and more experienced, I think we lose that ego and we start wanting to work together as a team. So, we're at the stage now where we do partner with a lot of organizations. Reason why is because a couple tornadoes can cause more damage than just one. You know what I mean? So. I would love to connect with you after this and see how we can do partnerships, but just like on April 22nd, we're working with Heartland Alliance, right? And we're gonna be doing a volunteer event in an urban garden in East Garfield Park. We're gonna be spreading seeds and planting mulch, or planting, whatever it goes. Yeah, we're gonna do something crazy. We're gonna be getting our hands dirty in the hood in East Garfield Park, okay? And I don't know nothing about gardening, but Heartland Alliance does. And we got a lot of volunteers, so it's all about, it is definitely all about working together, so great point.
I have a question. Okay, I'm over here. Okay, I'm from Chatham too, and I like what you're doing with these kids and telling them not telling them to, but getting them to explore other neighborhoods besides the ones they live in. I would like to know, as a Southsider who does like go all around the city, do all different kinds of things, do you think that the transit system, the CTA, helps people out in that regard? Do you think we have a decent transit system, or do you think that it could use some work? Oh.
I think it should be free. Like, honestly, I think CTA should be free. I don't think we should be paying for CTA. But I'm all about like big ideas. I think it should be free and it should be extended. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Since y'all take the buses, and Marquel, you take the bus sometimes. What do you think about that question that he just asked?
Basically what you said.
No.
No, because, you know what I'm saying, like, on certain days, okay, on school days, it's like $1.25, but then on Sunday, Saturday, Friday, sometimes it's like $2.25, and they charge up higher. Like, it should be free, and then they should have certain things, like, they be like, no music, can't do nothing on the bus. They just want you to sit there, and the stops, it's too long. Like, they just stop too long, so, you know what I'm saying, we just need to make a lot of things better, but, you know, it's a high.
Yeah, cool. See what I mean? We should be asking questions to our youth all the time, but I think, and the people that ride it, I used to ride the red line every day, like literally for like 8 years. I rode the red line. It's like the aorta it's like the aorta of Chicago. Like, you know, the city is like changes so fast from like, you go from Chinatown to 47 to 63rd, 69, 79, 87, 95th. I just love it. So I don't know. I would definitely make it extended farther than 95th Street, 1, and then 2, I would make it cheaper to ride it.
I think we've got to wrap at this point for now.
He's gonna be mad, man. This dude right here.
I will ask a question though.
Yeah,
please. So you got a big enough challenge trying to show folks what else is here in the city. I'm just curious. Not everything that's great about the region is here in the city. The forest preserves are largely not here in the city. There's a lot of lakefront. There's a lot of stuff that's not here. So to what extent are you trying to take your students the other direction and show them what else is going on in the broader landscape of the Chicago region? We've got 70,000 acres of forest that all these kids own part of. What are we doing to take them on walks in the woods, as an example?
You know somebody? You should connect us. Well, you can connect us. I would love to. Okay, awesome. I would love to. Listen, hey man, we're trying to go to Ghana. We're trying to go to Ghana this summer. We're doing a fundraiser to go from like the ghetto to Ghana. So that's like a big thing. We want to get our kids to step outside their comfort zones, but we're also trying to. Our COO Cody, she lives in Wisconsin. I'm trying to beg her to get us to take our students to wherever she lives out there in a cabin in Wisconsin, and so we can do some things. So, like, I agree with you, man. We do need to get outside the city. But right now, we just have the capacity to do what we can do. So
Let's do it. Let's talk after.
Cool.
All right, I think that's what we got for now. So we have until 7.
Yeah.
I would encourage y'all to have more conversations together. Let's think big ideas, collaboration, connection. We've got 2 folks from City Bureau here. Jamal's team is here. I just want to thank you all again for coming. Thank Jamal and the youth for being here.
Hey guys, thank you so much to Jamal and to Daryl. You led a terrific conversation, and the students were the highlight, I think, for many of us about what we covered today. So a couple things as you enjoy and linger. By the way, I'm Mary Sue Barrett. I'm president of the Metropolitan Planning Council, and really glad that you guys are here. We've been on a journey here at MPC. Marisa told you that we've been around for a long time, 1934, but we're learning about different ways through different partnerships about advancing this more equitable, prosperous, and sustainable region. It's one that works for everyone. And so, Jamal, thank you for teaching us. Thank you for partnering with us. And to so many of you in the room who've been part of this journey, our cost of segregation findings, which there's a postcard on your seats that is both has a link so that you can either pick up a hard copy here today before you leave or look at it online. Do what Jamal did, which is to remind people that there's a huge cost to all of us in this interdependent region in lost income and lost lives and lost potential that is absolutely untenable, and that we all stand as beneficiaries if we pick another course. So what can you do about it? Actually starts right here. We've got a little bit of time to continue to nibble and sip and mingle. And here's some questions on here on the flip side of this postcard that you can maybe go up to someone that you don't know. So let's practice what we've been learning tonight and talk to someone about what their experience is like and what their idea is like. What we hope to do at MPC is continue that conversation with our partners across neighborhoods, and that's, as Josh said, city neighborhoods and suburban. Across our sectors, we've got the chance every day to talk to business and community and government and bring those together. That's where our power is. We've got this amazing set of institutions that don't naturally work well together. We sometimes say collaboration is an unnatural act, and that's the business we're in. We're in the unnatural collaboration building business, but the gains are just huge. So we hope that you'll stay with us for that journey. In May, we'll be releasing some recommendations on the cost of segregation next steps, and we're going to need everyone's help to change institutions and to implement policy changes and initiatives to move us forward as a region. We can do that because we know the benefits that are out there for everyone. And we also have to work on multiple fronts in this political climate that we're in to change things. Another thing I wanted to draw your attention to is our Busted Commute campaign. So if you're out there traveling around and you have a commuting hassle, please let us know by email, Facebook, or Twitter about what your hashtag Busted Commute story is. And we're gonna collect those stories and deliver them to our leaders in Springfield, current and future, and tell them we want action. We're the transportation crossroads. One of the things we can do to build jobs is to invest in our infrastructure so that people can get to jobs and that we're creating that opportunity. So that's just one of many, many things that are right there for the action if we figure out a way to have collective action. Thank you to several board members that are in the room. MPC staff, if you could wave your hands in case you want to talk to someone else. Thank you to all of you for being part of this movement. We want to talk to you. Thank you to our sponsors. CKL, Raven Austell is here representing CKL and May Whiteside, who couldn't be here tonight. We're really grateful to the folks at Revolution Brewery who helped us with the beverages tonight, to CAN TV for capturing this evening.
and we hope that you'll join us for an upcoming event. One is a noontime roundtable on April 5th on autonomous vehicles. Another is a month from now, our next Urban Think and Drink. We actually haven't started promoting this yet, but it's on Wednesday, April 18th, and we're going to be talking about the role of the media in building solutions for Chicago, featuring some of the new leaders of the Chicago Sun-Times, CEO Edwin Eisendrath and columnist Mary Mitchell. So join us for that on the 18th of April. We'll be doing a book event on April 23rd and our annual luncheon in the fall about arts and culture and its role for driving economic revitalization. That's on September 12th. So lots of ways, not just through events, through the substantive work, through the partnerships, to stay involved with us. One of the things that you can do as you're mingling is talk to some of the students, put in your order for a book, put in your order for a t-shirt, they're really cool, and have a chance to shake Jamal's hand and get his signature. His book is awesome, I bought a few myself. They're great gifts. And thank you again to all of you for being here tonight. I hope you enjoy.